record something on a cart that says, drop off city after the newscast. Let me give you the telephone numbers. A couple of lines open in Hillsborough, 990-932. Back to the phones we go. Bill in St. Pete. Hi, Bill. You're on the air, WFLA.
Bob, I just want to make a comment on the ad that you talked about earlier. That ad was made by Nissan, not Toyota.
Okay, well, I said I wasn't sure which one it was.
Okay, well, let me just...
It's a matter of now the shoe is on the other foot. It is a matter of we are transferring the wealth of this nation. We are now spending our capital to buy consumer goods.
Yeah, but...
What do you mean, yeah?
Some of the manufacturers, like, for example, Ford Motor Company, has improved their quality, and they've turned the picture around. They're making more money than any automobile manufacturer that ever lived.
That's correct.
And the reason is because their cars are better.
That's correct. I've got one of them.
If the other guys did the same thing, if Chrysler and General Motors did the same thing, they could turn it around.
Well, that's all fine. That's all fine and well. We will assume that they're trying to. But in the meanwhile, if this place is to work, we all must make sacrifices.
Of course.
And if a sacrifice ends up being buying an American car as opposed to a Japanese car, then damn it, it's in our own best interest to do it.
Why did you buy a Volvo?
Why did I buy a Volvo?
Yeah.
Status. All 3 times. I was young and foolish. I did not realize what I was doing by buying a Volvo, if you'd like to know the truth. I did not realize. I now do.
I don't think the majority of American people that buy Japanese cars buy them for status.
Well, I don't think so either. You asked me why I bought mine, and I gave you an honest answer.
I think they buy them because they think they're better cars.
And well, they may think they're better cars. Well, they may be better cars.
Well, some of them
But that's besides the point.
Some of them are. But we don't object, for example, if Kentucky Fried Chicken goes to Japan, and we think that's great.
Well, it's up to the Japanese as to whether or not they want to buy the chicken when the company store opens up.
Well, doesn't that hold with automobiles, too?
But guess what? The Japanese doesn't want to buy imported products.
Oh, yes, they do.
No, they don't.
They don't let us, they don't. They'd love to buy Lincolns and Cadillacs.
But maybe that's what you'd like to think, but it happens to not be true.
No,
because the Japanese are very nationalistic people, and they will buy a Japanese product first.
You're not right on that, Bob. I'm sorry to contradict you, but the Japanese allow only a very small numerical...
I'm very well aware about the Japanese trade restrictions, but I'm also very well aware about the Japanese consumer attitude. And the Japanese consumer attitude is he would still prefer to spend his money at home.
Don't you think the Americans would?
No.
I do. I think the average American would much rather spend his money in the United States. I
mean, first of all, you must understand that an entire generation of Americans is growing up who don't even realize that Nissan and Toyota are foreign names. To them, they grew up with them. They're as American as apple pie. That's why Nissan is running that ad, to reinforce that attitude. Oh, well, hey, this is an American company. It's just, a weird name. But why is it any more weird than, Unitech? They're trying now to give the impression to an entire generation of people that, hey, this is a good old USA company.
Well, I think you'd have a hard time saying that to a guy from Smyrna that works in their factory and makes $20 an hour.
I'd have a hard time saying what?
Explaining to him that there's something wrong with the building cars in America, even though they're designed in Japan.
Well, if he's pig-headed, that's not my fault.
How about one of the biggest purchasers, if not the biggest purchaser of Japanese automobiles, is Chrysler Corporation.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of it, and I don't like it. It stinks.
Yeah, well, but they still do it.
Well, as a matter of fact, I don't think they're the biggest anymore. I now believe General Motors is.
Well, General Motors may be, but you know that all of the small pickup trucks are built in Japan. Fords, General Motors, and Chrysler. There's none built in America. None of them.
Yeah, that's my point, Bill.
Yeah, but why don't
my point.
Why do these American manufacturers buy this stuff? They're cutting their own throat, aren't they? If Ford buys 200,000 Japanese pickup trucks.
Ford and Chrysler and General Motors and Harry's Car Company and Bill's Car Company and Bob's Car Company are having to compete with Toyota pickups because American people are so damn stupid they'd rather buy the Toyota.
Why should they expect you to buy an American product when they go out and buy Japanese products themselves. It's ridiculous.
Well, guess what?
What?
They wouldn't do it if the American consumer said, I'm going to buy your damn truck because that truck was made overseas. Then it will stop overnight. Don't shift the blame to Detroit. The blame is in hometown USA. The moment the American people say, I am not going to buy a Japanese videotape recorder, there will be American-made videotape recorders. The moment they say, I will not buy a Japanese-made truck with an American nameplate on it, there won't be any.
So how do you go about getting them to do that?
You have shows like this one. Tom in Tampa, hi, you're on the air at WFLA.
Southern Cubans coming in here in the state of Florida. Who was it ordered that was
the Reagan administration.
Well, I'll be goddamn. Boy, that's throwing us further back. God almighty, no, that's putting us further in trouble. Goddamn, how come we can't go to Cuba?
You know, I let that go the first time. I let it go the second time, but I'm going to terminate the conversation because obviously you don't quite understand the kind of language you use on the radio, and it's offensive. Roger, John in St. Pete. Hello, John. You're on the air at WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
John from San Diego.
Oh, San Diego.
I also own a BMW motorcycle.
You can't afford to buy American products. In my estimation, you can't afford not to. So what do you think?
I think that's in essence what I've said.
But how do you get that across that it's not the government that's really controlling this, it's the people who have to control it?
I believe that's what I've said.
Yeah, that's true. You say it again, I want to hear it again. Now you're hanging on the phone. Now, that's what you do with other people. When I call, you're not supposed to do that.
We don't take requests here on the show. Mike in Seffner. Hi, Mike. You're on the air at WFLA.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Mike.
I see you're butting up against the news, so I'll be brief. By the way, your caller before last was an extremely intelligent gentleman. I hope he calls in more often. Bob, my question real quick. Are you really serious about this chair?
Yes.
I mean, are you really serious?
Yes.
Bob, if you know, Florida is a right-to-work state, and it's also a right-to-organize state. I hear the music coming on, Bob.
You want me to put you on hold?
Yeah, could I just talk to you after the news?
Sure thing, no problem.
All right.
I'll put you on hold. That's line 4. I shall make a note of it so I don't forget it. I'll probably forget it anyway, but...
How to make a good salad, Papa?
Your favorite. We have a caller on hold. I did remember, Mike. I did remember.
Yes, thank you, Bob. As I was mentioning to you before the news, since you are as serious as you claim to be about this chair...
Of course I am.
State of Florida is a right-to-work state, and it's a right-to-organize state, and that means, Bob, we stop pussyfooting around with this, send me some money, and we organize the Society of Highly Intelligent Talk Show Hosts and Tangent Yuppies, which, by the way, has an interesting abbreviation.
Oh, what's that?
Well, it's, you kind of write it out, you can see it. But what you do, you get yourself, and you get Gonzalez, and you get, some of the news guys, and you organize immediately. And, of course, you go to Norman, and you ask him, to get you the chair, and you know what he's going to say. He's going to say no, because you know who Norman is. He's so tight with a buck. I mean, he can make George Washington cry.
You see, you're starting to tell me my business. You're not giving me credit. You see, I'm very well aware of that. I have known for a very long time that if you want to get something accomplished in this business, that it is a waste of your time, to make an appointment and go in and see the general manager in 4 days. By that time, you forgot why you wanted to make the appointment. He's aware of that. That's why he put you off for 4 days.
Right.
If you want to get anything accomplished in radio, you do it on the air.
There you go.
Because one of two things is going to happen. Either management will give in and buy the chair, or the people will eventually send me the money, and I can't lose.
Yep.
Well, I thought it was going to become a movement. I mean, there were so many people that said, yes, Lassiter, I'm going to send you the Canadian quarters, and so far I have received but 1 Canadian quarter in the mail. I mean, I'm heartbroken.
Well, I'm excited about it.
But there already are buzzes in the halls about, maybe the station will break down.
Well, if all the tangent yuppies out there would bring this mass of people down to 801 North Jackson Street, and we would sit in down there, and we would raise some beep, and we'd get it done.
Well, perhaps when I come back from my vacation, by that time the mailbox should be overflowing. Actually, it should fall off the wall from the weight of all of those Canadian quarters. And if that is not the case by the time I return, which I think is November 30th, I believe I'm due back. I think that's a Monday. If the quarters aren't there, or the chair sitting here, one or the other, at that point I will take extreme measures. I mean, it just really dawned on me this morning. Yesterday in the mail, I got 2 kazoos, okay? From 2 kazoos.
What's that? Okay.
Kazoo, okay? And I turned them over, and I was astonished. Both of them are made in America. Just a handful of years ago, they would have been made in Japan.
Oh, that's good.
Well, the Japanese have taken their kazoo factories and turned them into automobile factories. We've taken our automobile factories and turned them into kazoo factories.
Yeah, we got to start...
Ain't a hell of a lot of need for kazoos. You know, very few people, even in radio, who will, sit here and play a kazoo on the air.
Yeah, I hear you. There may be a country like Mexico or so where people love a certain type of kazoo, And if we made those, we might be in better shape. But what I'm saying, is that as long as there's no laws in this country that make us buy an American product or make us buy a Japanese.
Nor should there be.
No, there's never...
There should be intelligent Americans that realize that by buying American, they are investing in their own future.
No, I think that in the long run, they're just going to be hurting their future. Because the world is growing very fast now, and all that money's already...
Well, unfortunately, they don't pay enough down at the kazoo factory to be able to afford those Japanese cars, and besides that, the Japanese don't like kazoos. Okay. So you're investing in your own future by buying the American car.
Okay.
Buy the Japanese kazoo if you must.
Passion call, so I thought I'd give you one.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Shall I start breathing heavy? Or?
Okay, well, not too heavy. I
just happened to pick up one of your comments earlier today about the price we put on a human life, say with a firearm, say for instance.
Yeah.
That if someone steals the property from us. Well, that was really a dumb comment.
It was a dumb comment, really?
Oh, extremely.
How's that?
Well, I'm a gun advocate. I believe in, Florida's letting us have a gun. Well, okay, let's take advantage of it. I'm also from the other extreme. I'm originally from New York, where they have the most strict gun laws in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And a decreasing homicide rate, too, by the way.
Okay, well, with or without guns, that's going to happen.
With or without guns, the homicide rate is going to go down.
Well, not go down. It's going to stay the highest in the country up there.
I beg your pardon. It isn't the highest in the country up there. The homicide rate in New York is going down.
It is.
You live in the state with the highest homicide rate.
Right. Okay. What I'm just trying to get at is that if somebody broke into my house and stole my TV set, I would not shoot them people, even though I have vast amounts of firearms in my house and I know how to use them. I consider myself a competent person to use them. I wouldn't put a value on taking human life in that way. The only way I would use a firearm if myself or my family or what is mine is endangered.
Well, that would be the intelligent way to use it, but you live in a state, again, with an awful lot of people who just assume that, you can be shot for, perhaps flipping a bird in traffic or...
well, that's going to happen not in Florida. It's
stealing a package of chewing gum.
Well, look what's happening in California, and they have a strict gun law out there.
I'm very well aware of what's happening in California. Actually, I don't know why they're picking on California. It happens every place.
That's right.
It has been for years.
Look at all the illegal guns on the streets. People, this law down in Florida has nothing to do with whether you're going to have a gun or whether you're violent and carry a baseball bat. It's just people are violent, as a general rule of thumb.
Well, I agree on that, but I don't see any reason in encouraging them to be violent.
No, I don't agree with that, but I just thought that was a dumb comment because there is no value of life, monetary that you can put on life. Someone stole...
Well, perhaps it was a dumb comment to you, and perhaps it would be a dumb comment to me, but believe it or not, there are actually people that do place such values.
Yeah, you're right.
You heard one, if you were listening to the entire program, you heard somebody, tell me, penny, that's enough.
Yeah, that's penny. Well, if someone walked up to me, and threatened me with, I'm walking down the street with my family, and I happen to have a firearm in my possession, and they threaten me bodily harm to me and my own, well, that guy might get a bullet right between the eyes.
Well, I support you 102%.
Okay, if someone takes my wallet, I can replace that credit card. I can put the $50 that's in there. I can replace that. But, unfortunately, you're right about, that people think that way.
Well, you see, the people up in New York this morning on the Today Show were somewhat appalled that the case that they were referring to was the young man in Florida who was robbed 3 nights in a row and stood outside. Well, they were somewhat appalled that the grand jury here said, well, hey, come on, the guy stole his television set. Hey, that's okay to kill him.
That was a strange situation because actually he was like, I can't think of his name, the man on the subway up in New York.
Bernhard Goetz.
Okay, he did the same exact thing. He actually went out to lure these people in and to, do his little vigilante thing.
No, I don't know that he was out to lure the people in. I think
he probably had it up to here and said, well, this is all I'm going to take. And then, now I don't know the whole outcome of the the trial there, but I think...
Well, he was found guilty, and he hasn't been sentenced yet, I believe.
Right, but he'll probably get off, and,
No, he was found guilty. He has some mandatory time coming.
Yeah, well, it's probably not as much as if he just went and robbed somebody under the same circumstances. You know what I'm saying?
Probably he'll get more.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think,
If he went out and robbed somebody, because if he went out and robbed somebody, then,
if he went out and robbed somebody with a gun...
Oh, with a gun in New York... Well, a gun in New York State's a different story, but if he went out and robbed somebody in Florida...
Right.
Without a previous criminal record, he'd get probation. Yeah.
He will be low. Florida has some of the most liberal gun laws so far in this country. And I agree with some of them. I disagree with a lot of it, but if you have a right to defend yourself, that's what that item is used to be. People are taking this gun item, this gun...
Well, only the worst moron in the world would deny somebody the right to defend themselves.
Right.
Only the worst moron in the world would defend someone the right to defend their property. But within reason.
Within reason, exactly. But where do you draw that line of reasoning? I mean, if a
well, in this particular case, chasing somebody down the street for a block after he had already dropped the merchandise, and
then he's a murderer. Then that person was a murderer.
You would say he's a murderer. I would probably say he's a murderer, but the state of Florida says, no, come on, the guy stole his television set. Hey,
he had a good lawyer then.
He stole his television set. It's okay to kill him. That's what the state of Florida says.
That's exactly.
Gwen, we go in Sarasota. Hi, Gwen. You're on the air.
Hi, is this the Norman Show?
The Normal Show?
Norman.
Norman. The name doesn't ring a bell with me.
Oh, okay. Well, if I give you my address, will you send me an America Love It or Leave It bumper sticker?
If you give me your address, no, I don't have any of those. I would assume that I was talking to a moron and would tell him how many cookies to eat so that problem wouldn't happen. But I thought you were a pretty sharp dude.
Well,
I would not, recommend more than 20, 25 cookies.
Oh, I passed that, Bob.
Well, I'm sure you did if you couldn't eat the ice cream.
I get the dunce cap. Anyway, Bob, you'll never guess what happened yesterday. I got to tell you this real quick. I was going to call you. I was very upset. I was going down 275 and
wait a second. What do you mean I'll never... Charlie, do you really think I sit around trying to guess what happens in your life?
Oh, come on, Bob.
Okay, Charlie.
Anyways, I was going up an up ramp onto the 275, and there's another up ramp coming another way, and they merge into one lane. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes this Rambler with Indiana license plates.
Oh, no.
I'm serious, Bob. I got witnesses.
Bummer.
Didn't even look, Bob. Just went right into the lane. I had to hit my brakes, got up on the interstate, and started going from lane to lane, not even looking, just moving over. And the center line was right dead in the center of his car. He couldn't. Ooh, Bob, I tried to take...
Well, you have to Indiana, right? Well, you have to understand when you're seeing, when you see a car with Indiana plates, it might be a farmer, and he thinks that he's driving a tractor. And, out in the field, what they do is they center the tractor on those plow marks, whatever the hell they're called.
Right.
So, Indiana cars in particular, you have to be a little careful. If he was just, driving like he does back home on the farm.
Right. Well, I tried to get a look at him, Bob, but I couldn't see no head. All I could see was this big steering wheel with these two big hands on it, like going left to right,
Yeah.
Anyways, what I called about, Bob, is I've been listening, and learning a lot from you. But there's one thing I'm confused about. I heard you say something the other day about, like the mints in Denver and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You said something about like manufacturing actual cash.
Yeah, I'm printing money, right?
Right. I don't understand why that, how that works. Why can't they just, I know they can't just print up lots and lots of money, but how does that affect, you said it affected the economy somehow.
Oh, terribly.
How is that, Bob? Can you explain that to me real quick?
Well, sure. It puts too much money in the economy.
Okay.
And what it really does, the real damage of that, is that it makes the dollar worth less overseas.
Mm-hmm. Because the more they make, the...
Well, sure. I mean, if you were holding $1 and, you thought it had value, it would buy $1 worth of goods.
Right.
And somebody suddenly put more dollars into the economy without them being earned, without there being any wealth behind it to back them up. Mm-hmm. It makes the dollar that you're holding worth less.
Mm.
And then it's even worse than that, because now you don't have any faith or confidence in the issuer. You don't know if he's going to put still more dollars in. So what are you going to do with your dollar? You're going to dump it as fast as you possibly can for any price that you can get for it.
I guess I guess that would also do something to the business industry, right? If they just printed money, right?
Of course, it would. It would probably make it easier to buy pretzels and ice cream.
All right, that's true, Bob. Well, it was just something I always wondered about. I know it's a stupid question, but I figured if anybody could tell me, you could, Bob. Listen, when's your St. Pete article coming out? The Times?
I don't know.
Oh, really?
Probably within 2 weeks.
Okay, one more thing, Bob. Did you?
But by the way, there will be an article in the Trib on Wednesday.
On Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the St. Pete Times one going to be? Is it going to be one day, or is that a series?
No, it's just one day, to the best of my knowledge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hot, but I'm not that hot.
Look, you're getting there, Bob. Listen, did you see the Tampa Bay Weekly that just came out?
Well, that was last week. Yeah, sure.
The editorial they got for you? The letter to the editor?
Oh, no, there's a letter to the editor about
Bob,
me?
You got a crown on your head. Let's see, Ron and Temple Terrace wrote it.
Do you have it handy?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Read it.
It's short and quick. Here it is. It says, Dear Sir, I have listened to Bob Lassiter since he came to Tampa 2 years ago. His razor-sharp wit and acid tongue have made life in sterile Tampa a lot easier to tolerate. I am glad to hear that Mr. Lassiter's talents are now aired over a first-rate radio station, WFLA.
Mr. Lassiter's talents.
Right.
That's not what I wrote. I said MD, Mad Dog. I'm sorry, please, go ahead.
You wrote this, Bob?
No.
At the same time, I must criticize the craven cowardice of Mr. Lassiter's former employers, WPLP. In your article, Mark Brewer admits that he let the most talented host in his station go as a concession to right-wing pressure groups. Such an attitude seems inconsistent with, parentheses, celebrating freedom of speech. That's a quote, I guess.
Wasn't even right-wing pressure groups.
Which is what WPLP claims to do. People like Mr. Brewer and the WPLP owners do more to advance censorship than a brigade of Soviet combat troops. Last paragraph. Best of luck to Lassiter and WFLA. As for the weak-kneed broadcasters of Pinellas Park, they might wish to acquire a new set of call letters, WIMP.
Whoa.
And that's Ron from Temple Terrace.
Were there more than one letter to the editor, or was that the only one?
Well, that's the one I can find right now, Bob. But
well, there were probably space constraints, and they could only print one.
No, Bob.
Sure, they were, deluged with them.
Well, keep up the good work, Bob.
Probably a couple of bomb threats, too.
And I'll try that pretzels and ice cream again.
Probably Bob Evans called up and threatened to pull their advertising, too, for running the article, even though they don't advertise.
I know a secret, but I don't think I can tell you, Bob.
What's that?
Well, I don't know if I should tell you or not. I just was on your commercial. I was just kind of flipping through the dial, and I kind of found somebody that you haven't heard from for a while. I don't really want to say that.
What?
The Weasel. I heard the Weasel.
You heard Scott where?
I heard the Weasel trying to buy some vitamins, I guess. I don't know.
You're kidding? The Weasel's calling Shanks?
I swear, Bob.
Oh, birds of a feather.
I didn't want to say that, though. But it's been a while, though, so nobody needs to bother panicking.
Jeez.
Have a good one, Bob.
Thank you, Charlie. Remember, no more than 25 cookies.
I'll try.
Okay.
Not easy.
I know, Charlie.
See you, Bob.
Bye-bye. The news coming up at the top of the hour. We shall return with one more hour. There's one line open by fourth and final hour for this Friday, November the 20th, 1987. Let's see. I'm flabbergasted. Is that really true? No drop-offs during the news? A full board after a newscast? And we're not even talking about sex. This is incredible. I mean, the last show I remember that happening, what was it? It was that masturbation show. Oh, let's not keep them waiting any longer. Karen in Tampa. Hi, Karen. You're on the air at WFLA.
Hi. I'm calling about that thing about the shooting, the man shooting the other man for stealing his TV set.
Uh-huh.
I really don't feel like it's a question of materialism. Don't you think the one man was tired of being victimized, and that's why he shot the other one?
I'm sure he was very tired of being victimized. Thank you, Yvonne. I am heartbroken. Jacob, how could you do this to me? I was just about to punch up Jacob's line. I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, we have a real treat for you, and go to Jacob, but just as I put my finger there, the line went dead. Jacob, you're a subhuman pig. You know what I mean, Jacob? A subhuman pig that doesn't have the nerve to confront me. I understand that the coward called back, so we shall go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a real treat to our beloved Jacob. Jacob, baby, how you doing, honey?
How dare you call me a subhuman pig, Mr. Lassiter?
What do you mean, how dare you? You are a subhuman pig. You hung up, man. You're only holding for 12 minutes. What do you want?
I did not hang up. I was cut off by your incompetent staff.
Oh.
Now.
Jacob, I would have somebody fired who cut you off. You weren't cut off. You hung up.
I did not.
It's probably General Van Ortner.
I would not hang on that long and then hang up, Mr. Lassiter.
You've done it before, Jacob.
No,
Come on. Well, what was it that, tickled your fancy today, Jake?
I heard a most disturbing rumor being circulated in this community by certain elements.
Yeah.
Evil elements, I might add.
Evil elements. Well, they're the best kind of elements, aren't they, Jacob?
It concerns the Reverend Dr. Jerry Falwell.
Yeah.
And the alleged story is that the reason he quit the PTL and he withdrew from the moral majority is because he has contracted AIDS.
Uh-huh.
That's a disgusting attempt, a coward's attempt at damaging his credibility.
Well, why are you spreading it further, Jacob?
I'm not spreading it.
I mean, I hadn't heard it. Hadn't been mentioned on my show until now.
It has been mentioned on other shows.
Really? You listen to other shows, Jacob?
Occasionally.
Why?
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? They're not worth it, man.
Well, you're always telling me if I don't like what you're saying to turn to another station.
Well, that's true.
Well, then.
But I know that you like what I say.
I don't like what you say. I disagree.
Oh, right, Jacob. Come on, baby. I've done so much for you.
What have you done for me, Mr. Lassiter?
You're damn near as big a star as Rocky now. I've also tried to get your broads.
That is not my intent, Mr. Lassiter.
What isn't your intent, to be as big as Rocky?
No, Mr. Lassiter. I seek no self-serving publicity for myself.
Right, Jacob. Right.
The time will come when I will seek publicity when I run for office in Clearwater.
Oh, what are you going to run for, Jake?
I'm not going to
Dog catcher?
I have seen the damage that you can inflict if you want on people.
The damage that I can inflict.
The negative publicity and with people harassing with phone calls and such. The time will come. Another time, another place.
Another time, another... What do you mean, Jake?
You'll see when I run for office. You will.
Do you really think the people of Clearwater are going to vote for a 32-year-old virgin?
Mr. Lassiter, must you keep referring to that?
Well, you're the one that brought it up. Initially.
It was in the context of our conversation.
Yeah, but you're still the one that said, and I'm a virgin.
Well, you were intimating that I was sexually free and randy and loose.
Randy? Randy? Who's Randy? Is he your lover?
Do you have a dictionary, Mr. Lassiter?
I have several of them, actually, Jacob.
Well, then this will give you something to do.
I have lots of things to do, Jacob, but let's talk about this guy, Randy. How long have you and Randy been going out?
I know of no one named Randy, and I was using it as a term, a descriptive term. It was not a noun, a proper noun, a name.
Oh, I see. Randy, isn't it? What is his real name?
Whose real name, Mr. Lassiter? Randy's. It's very confusing today.
What is Randy's real name?
Randy who, Mr. Lassiter?
Your boyfriend, Randy.
The
guy that you were just talking about.
I told you I had a girlfriend.
So Randy is a transvestite.
Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, Jacob.
Please.
Please what?
I understand you're going on vacation.
I just love it when they beg. What, Jacob?
You're going on vacation to Idaho.
No, Iowa.
Iowa.
Iowa, yes.
Well, maybe you'll like it there. Maybe you can audition.
Well, as a matter of fact, Jacob, the wife and I were talking just last night about, calling up the talk station there and goofing on them.
And what?
Goofing on them.
Well, if you want to reference, I will certainly give you a good reference.
It's a real small-town, old folks talk station. I think they're still debating the Vietnam War. And, they don't get the type of collar that I would be able to bring to them. And so I was toying with the idea of, calling them up and giving them a lot of grief for the week that I'll be up there.
I don't think that's necessary.
I think it'd be fun there, Jacob, don't you?
Why should you disturb their peace and tranquility, Mr. Lassiter?
Well, why not?
Probably good.
I love disturbing peace and tranquility. It's what I get paid to do, Jacob.
Those are good Christian people up there.
Let's get back to Randy. How long have you been seeing Randy?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have anything to say to that, Mr. Lassiter.
Well, okay, Jacob. I can understand, if you don't want to get that personal about it.
Do you have a permit for raising money for that chair?
Do I have a permit for raising money for the chair?
You're soliciting funds over public airways, are you not?
Yes, I am. I don't need a permit.
Oh, you don't?
No, I'm fully disclosed. I'm not suggesting that it is a charitable contribution that people would be making. And on top of that, I've asked them to send me something that, for all practical purposes, is worthless, Canadian quarters.
That's currency.
That's currency in Canada.
It's currency.
You try to spend some, Jacob. See how far you get with them.
No, I refuse to take it.
And besides, I'm fully disclosed. I have no problem on that. Are you going to send me some Canadian quarters?
No, Mr. Lassiter, I'm not.
Well, why not?
Not until you accept Jesus Christ into your life.
Okay, so we won't be getting any quarters from you.
I'll buy you a new chair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's awfully tempting. I mean, I could just kind of pull your leg.
What would that accomplish, Mr. Lassiter?
Might give us both a thrill.
You know, I really want to help you, and I think you're starting...
I'd love to pull your leg, Jacob. You know, yeah, I really would.
I think you're starting to change, Mr. Lassiter. I really want to help you.
You think I'm starting to change? How's that, Jacob?
I think you're beginning to accept the Christian way of life.
Well, what makes you say that, Jacob?
I can just tell by your tone. You no longer have these sex shows that are so offensive to many of us.
I no longer have the sex shows that are so... Jacob, I'm tempted to... I've got a full board now. Let's see. I've got one that wants to talk about American products, J.C. Penney's. I've got another one that wants to... Well, Captain Jack. Indecent Italian. I don't know what the hell that's all about. Oh, the woman that exposed herself at overseas products. I'm really tempted to blow them all off and just have girls call up to talk to you.
Oh, that would be fine, Mr. Lassiter.
So you see, I haven't changed my ways, Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm beginning to think you're changing your ways.
Why is that?
Well, Jacob, what do I do every time you call up?
You immediately revert into the gutter, into this sex.
Right, I talk dirty to you, right?
Yes, you do.
And you called yesterday, right?
Yes,
and here you are back on the phone today. You obviously like it, Jacob. You like having me spread to the entire community that you got a big gazanga, huh, Jacob? Right?
I never said no such thing. Now, you quit spreading this.
You did, too.
I never said anything
you
like that.
You called it a salami.
I do not.
Well, I don't know what you normally call it, but you did call it a salami.
I never mentioned those words, Mr. Lassiter.
You did, too, Jacob.
Play the tape.
I said, Jacob, do you have a big salami? And you said, yeah.
I did. I assumed you were talking about cold cuts. You were very deceptive, and you try to draw me into these subjects.
Jacob, you knew better. We weren't talking about cold cuts, Jacob.
Well, I certainly would never utter things like that, and people that know me know this.
Well, do you have a big salami or not?
See, I'm tempted right now to say in my refrigerator, yes, but I know what you're referring to, and I don't like it at all.
Well, Jacob, you know, just so that we both understand, and so that all of Tampa Bay understands, do you have a large penis or not?
Mr. Lassiter, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You're a disgrace.
Well, that well may be, but do you or do you not have a large penis?
I refuse to answer that, Mr. Lassiter. It's no one's business.
Ah, so you got a little one. You're lying about it.
It does not belong on public airways.
Jacob has a small penis. Jacob has a small penis.
Mr.
Jacob has a small penis.
Your age, not your shoe size.
We're not that far apart, Jacob.
That I can believe.
What does that tell you?
You have the mentality of a 12-year-old. Calling names. This is something I would expect in a schoolyard.
Do you hang around schoolyards a lot, Jacob?
I do not.
Then how do you know what to expect in a schoolyard?
Because when I was at that age, I can remember that far back, this is the type of thing that went on.
Jacob, hold on a second. I've got to go to Gary McHenry for a WFLA traffic report. Gary, how can you possibly come in and interrupt the call with Jacob?
Mr. Lassiter.
Wait a sec. Say that again.
I'm not giving it away.
I think you just did.
What is your shoe size? Let's see. We have
How big is your gazanga?
It was removed in an accident.
Back we being myself and my new co-host, Jacob. Jacob, you're still there, aren't you?
Yes, Mr. Lassiter.
Okay, let's take some calls, Jacob. Leanne and Lutz, hi, you're on the air with Bob Lassiter and Jacob from Clearwater.
Hi.
Hi.
What, am I supposed to talk to Jacob?
No, you don't have to.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have to, but you don't.
I love your show. It just cracks me up. I just started listening a couple months ago, and this is my first time to call.
Jacob, are you offended by that kind of language?
So far, so good, Mr. Lassiter.
Okay.
Well, I may talk about a subject that Jacob might not appreciate.
Oh, I hope so.
I wanted to mention about that woman that maybe you've gone off the topic of exposing herself.
Yes, I recall her.
I know
Mr. Lassiter.
What, Jacob?
Well, Bob brought up the topic.
It was in the newspaper.
This woman's going to say.
It was in the newspaper, Jacob. It's a current issue. Go ahead,
You know what I'm going to say? Well, I'm going to say that I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's our country that has the problem with it. I just got back from a trip a few months ago to Scandinavia, and people around there are just laying all around with no tops on, women. And, you know, they have a very low teen pregnancy rate and things like that because those kids are brought up that way.
Right, they don't go gaga over a breast.
No, they don't. Now, unfortunately, I did. It kind of freaked me out, but I don't think it's any big deal. And just
well, it's totally arbitrary. It's totally arbitrary.
Sure it is.
Don't show those things. It's not nice. Why isn't it nice? I don't know, but don't show them.
That's just our culture.
Right,
I don't- I
Jacob. Would you care to, why shouldn't a woman show her breast if she wants to?
The woman's breast should be covered if she has any moral decency.
What does moral decency have to do with it, Jacob?
Because that's just the way it is. That's the way
That's the way you say it is.
our God meant it to be, that the woman's breast...
We were born naked. Right?
What?
We were born naked.
I don't think Jacob was. He was probably
the
born
old-
in overalls.
The old story, if God wanted us to wear clothes, we'd be born with them. I live right down the street from a nudist colony. I don't belong to it. I probably never would, but if somebody wants to do it, it's no big deal.
Yeah, Jacob, what do you say about that?
Well, it is a big deal. The woman's breast should not be exposed. Men might construe that as being an invitation to a rape.
Well, that's
Well,
our
wait a second.
culture. See,
Whoa,
that's all
Jacob.
back to our culture.
Why
They
are you
wouldn't.
why are you stuttering? I mean, you seem to be getting excited even just talking about it, Jacob.
No, Mr. Lassiter, I'm not excited.
Oh.
The men in Scandinavia aren't crawling all over the women there. It's
Are you
just-
sure you're not excited, Jacob? Look down and tell me again. Are you excited or not?
I can assure you I am not.
Okay. How long have you had this problem with impotency?
Mr. Lassiter.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Lassiter, this is a riot. I also want to talk about, he'll like this too, Jacob will. The girl yesterday got so riled up about abortion, late yesterday afternoon.
Oh, the card-carrying communist.
Yes,
yes.
her. Right.
I didn't even know they gave out cards. I know communists. They don't have cards.
Well, I am trying to adopt myself, and I know there's 100 people for every white, healthy baby to be born. But it doesn't bother me that a girl gets an abortion because she wants to. I mean, if she didn't, it'd be another extra baby for me. But like you said, what's going to happen next year?
Exactly. I know that there are many, many people on the waiting list, but they also have very specific requirements,
Exactly.
and they are not. They're not infinite in number.
Mm-mm.
Abortion is murder.
Nah, Jacob, just stick to the sex.
No, I disagree. It's a woman's body, and she can do what she wants with it.
And not when it comes to taking a human life, madam.
It's not a human life yet.
Oh, yes, oh, yes, it is. Is it non-human? Is it non-life? No. It is a human life. Abortion is murder.
Some other
There has
time,
been
Jacob.
nothing, no law or anything passed saying
It's the
what it is
supreme
yet.
law.
It's still,
Jacob, you're much more interesting when we're talking about penis size. Save it on the abortion. Leanne, I thank you very much.
thank you.
Take care. Let's see. Let us go to Captain Jack. Hi there, Captain Jack. You're on the air with Jacob and Lassiter.
Yeah, listen, Jacob, I don't appreciate you treating my very good friend Lester Bob like you're doing.
Well, that's too bad.
Well, he's the best friend I got in this area, and I want you to be more respectful
Probably the
to him.
truth, too.
Now, Bob,
Yeah, Captain.
all those nasty things I said about you, about tar and feathering you and keel hauling you and talking about your dogs and wife, I was just kidding. I didn't mean none of that.
I know that, Captain.
I know it. And I appreciate it. And why I called, I got a little problem, and I didn't know who else could help me other than you.
Yeah.
The fact is that there's some people that are building a house next door to me.
Yeah.
Here. And I talked to them last night, and I'm leaving. I'm not going to stay here. I'm not going to live to them. And I was wondering, don't you live over on around the beach, somewhere over in?
Well, no, I live in St. Petersburg, but not that close to the beach,
Well, all I need is a place, to hang my nets and my mates and all. We have a party or something once a week. But have you got?
Wait a second, Captain. You want to come over to my house and hang your nets?
Well, next door or somewhere. Is there a place near you that you could put me on to?
Have you ever heard of Lutz, Captain Jack?
No, I don't know him.
Well,
but what about it? You think you could help me find a place over there by you?
I don't think so, Captain Jack. And besides, I've got to go to Gary McHenry for a WFLA traffic report. Jacob, stay right where you are. Gary, it's all up to you.
It's on my shoulders,
It's
huh?
all on your shoulders, baby.
Good thing it's not on my gazonga.
Yeah. Do you have any room over at the airport where Captain Jack can maybe hang his nets out or something? He and his mates.
Catch a couple of pipers and a Cessna or two. We have...
Jacob?
Yes?
Ah, there you are. Okay. All right, let's take some more calls. Let's go to Carol in St. Petersburg. Hi, Carol. Oh, Carol is the newest member of the You-Know-What Club. Pity, pity, poo. George in St. Petersburg. Hi, George. You're on the air at WFLA.
Yeah, are you sitting there naked?
Am I sitting here naked?
Yeah, because I heard you tell Jacob
Why, would
that
you like to think that I'm sitting here naked?
No, but the reason
Would you like me to take my clothes off and sit here naked?
The reason I thought that was that you told Jacob that regarding, you were talking about your chair, and you said you were fully disclosed.
No, not disclosed, clothed, disclosed. I've come clean.
Oh, I thought you were sitting there naked.
I have thought in the past about taking my clothes off when Jacob called, though.
Mr. Lassiter. What I really wanted to bring up was about that Italian woman, showing her bosom. Probably knowing a few Italians and a few French people, and they're very verbal, and when they get their voices, one tries to outshout the other. She probably couldn't get their attention, but so she was miming the fact that she was fully abreast of the political situation.
Ah, is that the reason?
Yeah, so I mean, but they mistook it for indecency, but she was just telling them that she was on top of things, fully abreast, but she couldn't get her words in, so she had to show one of them to mime that she was on top of the situation. So you can see how it can be misunderstood just by a few little insignificant actions.
Well, ain't that the truth?
You know.
I should understand that, if anybody should. Well, thank you, George, for, pointing that out to us.
Okay, swell.
Take care.
You too.
All right, let's go to Laura in St. Petersburg. Hi, Laura. You're on the air with Jacob and Bob.
Am I on?
Laura, would I put you on about that?
Okay, this is what I want to say. A couple of phone calls ago, a lady was on talking about that it was such a good idea to have your breasts hanging out in public.
Well, I don't think that's exactly what she said.
Well, in a roundabout way, she thought it was a good idea.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, I think that if she thinks that's a good idea, number one, people that do that in other countries are probably because they're not civilized. And number two...
Not civilized?
Couldn't agree more, ma'am.
And number two...
What's the matter with your boobs, lady?
She
Why do you want to show them?
She probably has such an ugly face that that's the reason why she wants her boobs hanging out, because otherwise nobody else would ever look at her.
That's correct.
Well, most of the broads I've seen showing their boobs had good faces, too.
Well, if you want to have to go around exploiting yourself, you must be desperate.
Why is it exploiting yourself? It's only exploiting yourself because that's what convention says.
With no pants on, it's the same idea. It's like you're saying you're desperate for people to stare at you.
That's right.
If I want to show it and you want to look at it, what's the problem?
There's a problem because of being civilized. If you're civilized, you don't want to do that.
What does civilization have to do with exposing your breasts?
You know, some things should be sacred. And in other words, she figures we should all walk around wearing no clothes on practically, right? So why? Because she's so desperate for somebody to look at her?
I don't know what her reasoning was at all. Either do you.
Well,
you mean to tell me, Laura, that you wouldn't show me your breasts?
No.
Why not?
Not with a 10-foot pole.
Well, how about a 12-foot pole?
I wouldn't show anybody my breasts unless I was desperate or insane or something.
Why not?
Because some things should be,
How about if I gave you $10,000? I'm not going to try to touch them. Just want to look.
Forget it. But that lady probably do it. That was on the phone. She probably do it for $10.
$100,000 I'll give you. No touchies, just looks.
No way.
$500,000.
I can't be bought. I don't give you an Aristotle
$10 million, Laura. $10 million. And all you got to do is flash him.
No.
Come on, $10 million, Laura. That's crazy.
No.
$15 million. Just to look. Okay?
No.
$25 million. I mean, just imagine what good you could do for your family, for the world, for humanity with $25 million just for a peek.
Would you forget it? Give it up.
$50 million, Laura. What is your price? How much would I have to give you?
Call that lady up. She'll do it for free. She's
$1 billion. $1 billion, Laura. Okay?
Maybe her nose stretches from one side of her face to the other.
Laura, you would honestly have me to believe that for $1 billion you wouldn't let me look?
By the way, I'm calling from House of Lawrence. You know my brother.
I do?
Yeah.
I don't know House of Lawrence.
Oh, maybe you don't. Might have been somebody else.
Might have been. Thanks, Laura.
Okay.
God bless you, Laura.
Thanks, Jacob. See the rest of you guys either tomorrow or a week from Monday. Behave yourselves, huh? Dread Web coming your way.